In this video, we are going to learn how to use cloth and displaced modifiers to explore a different way of creating a terrain. So starting with a plane, I'm just going to look for the displaced modifier and scroll down to bitmap. I've already downloaded a height map, which we can use for this exercise. And what the height map has is a gradient of black and white to create a bump texture. So in the material editor, I'm going to pull out bitmap and standard material and connect the bitmap to diffuse color, and then connect the material to the plane within the viewport. So now I can actually see the height map projected onto the plane. Just turning on edge surfaces and increasing the strength of the displacement to generate noise onto the surface. Because it's quite sharp, I'm going to use Turbo Smooth to smooth out the edges. And convert this to an editable poly, because now we're going to use the graphite modeling tools as mentioned in an earlier video to make this model a little more complicated. So under surface, I can use concave surfaces because of the nature of this terrain to generate a random pattern. And then using extrude, I'm going to create quite a drastic, a steep gradient of extrusion. And then once again applying Turbo Smooth. I now have a very rough surface, and this doesn't look like a terrain yet, so we need to take this one step further and use the cloth modifier to basically create a surface that looks more organic. So in order to do that, I need a plane, and I need to drag this plane directly above this object. I need to make sure that the plane has a significant number of segments. And under the modifier list, we're going to look for a cloth modifier. So selecting the plane first, under cloth modifier and object properties, we're going to assign the plane as the cloth and the object as the collision object. And we want to make sure that all the simulation presets are still the same. Just to do a test simulation, I guess the most significant one would be gravity, making sure that's at 2.54 cm per unit, and then hit simulate. So it seems to be working, but the cloth doesn't seem to be wrapping around the collision object very well. Or at least not in the way that I expected it to be. So I'm going to erase the simulation and change the object properties. So under cloth presets, I can change this to wet cloth, hit OK, and under gravity, I can increase the force. Just wanted to make sure that the presets are correct, and then hit simulate one more time. And now, as you can see, I can actually see a lot more of the rough surface that's underneath this cloth. And I'm just going to wait for the simulation to finish. So now I'm going to use a box to trim away the edges of the cloth that lie beyond the collision object. So in order to do that, I need 2 Boolean drivers. So I'm just going to clone this box. And I'm going to freeze one of the boxes. So I'm going to use that later. Under compound object, select Boolean, intersect, add operands, and then we're going to repeat that for the collision object. This is when I need to use the other Boolean driver. Repeating intersect, add operands. And finally, I have a terrain with a rough texture underneath to create protrusions, which could be pebbles, rocks, or anything that makes this terrain look a little bit more natural. I'm just going to pull the terrain downwards so that you can see a little bit more.